Hi, this is Gerry from East Coast Bakery in Halifax. I'm here with Desmond, and we're home of the East Coast style bagel, and we're about to watch Jaimie Oliver show us how he makes a bagel. Let's check it out.
I'm going to give you a foolproof recipe for homemade bagels.
Foolproof.
Absolutely delicious. If you love a bagel, then this is for you. So let's do this. Here I have got 750 grams of strong flour. And then we will make a well in the middle with your hands. So in here...
Why isn't he using a bowl?
We're going to go in...
Yeah, so the first thing is, like, the amount of things you actually need to make a well with flour is very low. It's like pasta, and then if you're a purist on, like, European crepes, there's absolutely no... Yeah.
Just put it in a bowl?
Yeah. There's no reason you shouldn't use a mixer.
150 mils of tepid water. That means lukewarm, blood temperature. And then I want to add the yeast. Now, when you buy yeast, it's often, or nearly always, in these little sachets here. So
yeah, we use fresh yeast, but sachet's fine.
Dried yeast goes into the tepid water. Just use your fork to whisk in the yeast. The heat
Where's
of the
this
water.
mixer?
It's ridiculous.
Then I'll go in with 3 teaspoons of sugar. I'm just using a nice light golden
brown sugar.
there. That will give it not just the ability to wake up the yeast, but also a gentle, very subtle sweetness. Then I'm going to add 3 level teaspoons of salt. So that goes in. Mix that up first, and then start taking the flour from the outside to the inside.
Or you could use a mixer.
Or a mixer, yeah.
And it will
Hey, there's no eggs.
Porridge-like consistency.
Yeah.
And get thicker and thicker. You can see at this stage it's getting elastic. Can you see how stretchy it's looking?
That's a
As
baguette
you
dough.
bring it together, you can bring more and more flour in.
There's no eggs.
Hand, right? With a light touch of your hand, just move it around. So I normally would knead this for like 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
So we'll keep it moving.
Or you could use a mixer.
Just bring in those little bits of extra flour.
The thing that's fun
as
about
you
mixers
need.
is that it actually
Once it's
needs
come
dough
together,
while it mixes
you
it.
can be a bit more
Right.
brutal. You can pick it up.
Why are
throw
you
it
hitting the
down,
dough?
and pull it apart and roll it back up. Pick it up, throw it down. If you have a little look at it,
If you overwork the dough, your bread's going to be very, very hard, very, very dense. You want to put a lot of air in your dough.
Every stretch and slap he's doing is basically making like a less... You'll see later on in the video he's very into the sponge of the middle of the bagel, but he obviously isn't if he's like slapping his dough around and throwing it at the table.
you know, we've got a really nice, smooth, elastic, beautiful dough.
Get ciabatta dough.
There you go. A nice sort of little therapeutic knead up. Of course you can use, you know, a machine and let that
Of course you can use a machine.
It doesn't feel quite as romantic. So there you go.
Romantic.
A lovely dough. Kiss a little bowl with a tiny bit of oil, just so it doesn't stick. And put your dough in
I don't
here.
even know why he's using olive oil instead of canola there
How
as well.
lovely.
I know it's going to taste a little bit
and
olive.
shiny that is. So let that prove.
It's
for
a nice
about
baguette dough. It's not a
Yeah,
bagel
he's,
dough.
in a bowl, rubbed with oil.
there's no argument that Jaimie Oliver is not a good cook, but he's pretty much made bread, and as you see later, he kind of just makes a bread dough into rings instead of an actual bagel dough.
In tea towel, and I would just run some hot water on it. Just wring out your tea towel.
That's what you do if you're
Which has
making
been put in the hot
a French
water.
sourdough.
And we'll just lay that over the top like that.
Oh yeah, he
So
proofs it for like an
lots-
hour and a half.
Yeah, he does.
In this little world that you've created. So an hour and a half.
Yeah,
in
hour and a
bubble
half.
size,
No,
And
no.
then I'll show you what to do next.
No.
20 minutes?
20 minutes. 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
So an hour and a half later, we have a beautiful dough that has doubled in size. Look
Perfect
at
for
that.
baguettes.
When we turn it out, it is just so bubbly.
It's very sticky.
Just
It's
peel it, tease it away.
It's my favorite
the
part
edge.
where
It smells amazing. So we want to knock back.
he says he's teasing the dough away, and it's very clearly like stuck to the bowl on the inside. I don't know if he's just assuming we don't have eyes or something, but it's not a podcast, Jaimie.
That means bash the air out of it. So
Don't
just
bat. Oh,
knock-
no. Don't bash the air out. You want the air to stay in, otherwise it won't be fluffy. Don't bash the air out. Don't. Please fold it. Fold it.
And then we can start to just knead it again. Let's just get a knife.
Oh my god.
Okay, so divide this roughly, or as best as you can, into 2. and then each
Oh, he's
half
making those
will
into
go into
balls.
3. About right. So look, we've divided it into 6 balls,
No.
roughly.
Again, he's making ciabatta.
Handing them,
Yeah, so
you know, just to look pro.
No.
he's
A little
gonna take
dusting
dough from them anyway,
of
so it's
flour
just
stops anything.
you could just have that
sticking
whole sum of dough and make the
outrageously.
single bagels out of
Each
it.
dough we're now going to take into half, like that. What I do is I put a little bit of pressure on the dough, and I use my fingers like a little
Wrong
kind of
technique.
cage. And I push the palm down
Wrong technique.
until you get traction, right? And you go in a circle, and then you start to push your fingers up and take the pressure off, and then you get that lovely little dough. And once you do a few,
We're going to show you how to do it after.
Yeah.
We're going to show you how to do the technique.
It's going to be lovely. Pressure down, pressure off, lovely ball. Okay, so we've got our 12 beautiful balls there. Over here, by the way, this is kind of the really different part of making your very own.
It's all been very different for me.
Boiling.
Yeah, this is very different indeed.
Boiling, then baking. And that will give you that kind of chewier, spongier texture.
Boiling's correct.
Quite unusual,
Boiling's correct.
particularly to bagels. Now, the one ingredient that
does.
goes in here that is...
He points
I
out
guess
sponginess
unusual
too, even though he
is
just told us to
bicarbonate
smack
soda.
all the air out of
So
it.
that's particularly used
So you put
in
baking soda in there.
to give lift and bubbles.
I don't think
but
so.
often you see it in recipes for noodles, or in this case, the bagel.
The baking
It
soda
kinda
can
gives
go
a kind
in
of
the dough,
bouncier
not in the water. It
outside.
doesn't make a difference.
And also, will
Usually we
help
put honey
to
in the water, but it
change
doesn't make a difference.
the pH of the dough on the outside, so it goes golden and really beautiful when you bake it. Now we're going to get thumbing.
That actually has much more
Now,
to do with the
thumbing
heat of your oven
is
and
a
how long you're
particularly
leaving them in
nice
for.
thing to do. Get one's thumb and then put it in the flour, put it in your dough,
What the?
move it around, take it off, and then you can just stretch the dough and
It's thumbing
do this. And as soon as you've done that, you want a nice little circle, and there's your potential bagel. You want to go a little bit bigger because it kind of
Emphasis on
does
potential.
tend to shrink back again. So be generous, don't be too aggressive with it, and then we can poach it, right? So we'll lay that down there, second thumbing, unusually therapeutic. Get the kids involved, get no one involved. Maybe just go thumbing on your own. So there you go, a beautiful array of well-thumbed
on your own.
bagels. So now we go into the water.
I don't know if this is just
will
me,
see
but I
a
usually
little
don't want to
something.
put well-thumbed
We'll get
stuff
that
into my
simmering.
body.
You can just
Oh my Lord.
extend that hole a little bit as you lay it.
You just
in
make it like a real
like that.
bagel, though.
Yeah,
We're going to
exactly.
give that about a minute on each side.
Dozens and
then
dozens of
we're gonna get
videos on
lovely
YouTube
trays.
where you can
So,
see inside New
look at
York
these,
bagel
they're
places,
popping
and every
really
guy
nice.
rolls
Nobody's
Once
thumbing
you've done
them.
2 minutes
No one is
in the
thumbing
boiling
them.
water, take them out, drain them.
2 minutes
So
on a parchment.
let me show you what we're going to do here. So egg wash them first.
Egg
Right on the
wash.
edge, right in the middle.
Egg wash is wrong.
Then
You
we'll
don't
take the
egg wash
sesame
bagels.
chunks.
I've never heard of
I've
egg washing
never
bagel.
seen that.
Never seen that
On
anywhere.
top. Poppy seeds on the other. With the lovely sunflower
It's making a
seeds.
mess.
They are
Yeah.
delicious.
We
and
usually
they
just
have
dip
quite
them in the
robust
seeds and
outer
then
shells.
put them on the pan.
I personally think instead of just throwing them on, which you can do,
Sunflower seeds with
just
shells.
crush
Yep.
those sunflower seeds.
I also
And
think it's
on the
interesting that he
inside,
just said
more
2 minutes,
flavour,
because
more
I find
texture. And I think
with the boiler, whenever we do it, it so much depends on what time of the year it is, if it's winter, if it's summer.
The heat,
It's
humidity.
completely. It's just based on if it's once a bagel stops being squishy in the middle.
I think the biggest thing he didn't mention is that when you put the bagel into the boiler, it's supposed to float.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then you cook the other side.
He also, he
if
used
they're
a,
not
he
floating,
used a shallow pan too. He should have been using
a bigger pot,
a Dutch
bigger
oven.
pot.
I don't think. I'm 99% sure Jaimie Oliver has got one big pot in his house.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
should have many.
So they'll go in and then they'll float, and then you just flip them, and then 5 minutes.
Depends on how hot the water is, exactly.
eat better. So in the ovens, these are going to go. The oven has been preheated to 200 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to cook these for around
That's like
about
what, 400?
25
That's like 400
minutes.
Fahrenheit.
Now, this is a fan oven,
Quick man.
I think it's 400
so it
Fahrenheit.
should be pretty even, and they will be golden and delicious.
We actually
And the only
do
question you have to ask yourself,
475.
what are
Yeah.
you going to do with them?
We do hotter for less time, and as you'll see when this product comes out of the oven, it's more consistently browned, but you don't actually have that dark color. You want what you love on a bagel is that it's crispy,
crisp.
it's crisp but soft on the inside, which he's sort of getting at with the sponge and the crunch. But really here he's turned bread into rings and then egg
So
washed
here
it
they
so
are.
it
They
gets crispy.
absolutely smell Amazing.
Yeah.
So let's just
They
have
look
a quick
okay.
look. You can
Yeah,
see it's going to be
they look
really
okay.
crisp on the outside.
You never need to egg wash a
I'm
bagel.
just going to get
if
a
you're cooking it
serrated
at the right
knife and
temperature, it
cut
builds that crust
into
completely by
this.
itself.
That's why you're boiling it.
Just use the length of the
wow.
knife.
Where's the hole?
Let's get some butter on there.
Butter?
You could go. You know,
Cream cheese?
conserve
Yeah, come on.
jams.
Good crunch.
Yeah.
No hole.
Oh,
Butter.
it's still got the chew.
So he buttered his
but it's
baguette
so-
with shaped like
so
a ring.
delicate and elegant and spongy. So good, guys. What are you waiting for? If you want to have a go at making your very own homemade bagels, this is the recipe for you. It's really good fun to make. And I
Please
know
don't call them bagels.
Enjoy.
He's made lovely bread rounds.
Bread rounds. Well said. So the recipe was basically right. You use flour, water, salt, yeast, malt, or you could use brown sugar
instead. but-
Yeah, use sugar. We use egg.
Yeah.
He didn't use eggs. Mix it in a mixer, turn it into a bagel, stretch it correctly,
Yeah.
and wait 15 minutes, boil it, 5, oven, 15 minutes,
Yeah.
475. That's how you do it. No egg washing, please.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's he spends a lot of time mixing. If you look at when he has that well and he's mixing everything in, and then he kneads it. Like as I said before, a stand mixer kneads and mixes your dough. So I'm gonna say there's no way it took him less than 15 minutes from that well to mix it, and he said it took him another 15 minutes. That's half an hour to get these
Just
bagels
mixing.
ready. It's led 10-15 minutes of work max.
Plus an hour and a half to proof it.
Plus an hour and a
which
half to prove it, which you don't need.
You don't need that. No.
There's no way. Yeah. There's no way a bagel should ever. If you're proving a bagel for an hour and a half and it's made right, it should be way too huge. So I think it's saying a lot about exactly what he's doing.
All right. Well, that's just our opinion on how we make bagels. I mean, what do we know? We just make bagels all day long.
Yeah. So we put our skills to the test and let's show you how to do it.
All right. So we have a beautiful dough here that we've made using a mixer. You can see all the beautiful air bubbles in here. You want to keep that air in there. So now we're going to use a dough cutter, not a knife, to cut it. We're going to cut it into a nice strip. I'm going to give one piece here to Desmond. There you are. And I'll take the other piece. And this is how we go. Nice and slow. This is how you make bagels by hand. And then you make it into a little snake like that. And then you grab a piece off like this, cut it off with your hand, and you just make it into a bagel. No thumbing required.